So my guest tonight is Miss Killian Huff, and she had a near-death experience back in 2018, December 13th. She was hospitalized and finally diagnosed with sepsis and a great deal amount of pain, and had many interesting and mystical experiences since her near-death experience. So, Killian, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so happy to have you, and I've been looking so forward to hearing your story.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite. It's it's a welcome invitation.
Thank you.
It's actually that it's great being able to talk about it. Well, where would you like me to start?
Well, from the beginning, the day that it happened, what was going on that day?
Well, that day, I had actually I wasn't feeling too well that day, and actually 2 days prior, I had a procedure done, a medical procedure at VA, and something went wrong during that procedure, and I found out when I woke up during anesthesia, and then 2 days later, well, gradually I wasn't feeling too well, and I never got sick. I hadn't been sick in actually over 15 years. And so I knew something was wrong because I was feeling a bit lethargic and under the weather. And that particular day on the 13th, I had an appointment at 10 that morning with a veterans company, organization. And my previous service dog did something out of the ordinary, and it let me know that something wasn't quite right. I didn't quite catch it at the time, and I had run a temperature, and my temp that morning was about 100. But later on that day, I went to my son's apartment. I wasn't feeling well, very lethargic, couldn't really think straight. And I took my temp and it was 102.3.
Ooh.
And I need to take a nap. And my dog wouldn't let me. He was this little Chihuahua Husky, a Kai, and he had these huge eyes. And he would sit and he would just stare at me, and he would talk with his eyes. And so I thought, okay, he needs to go out. And so I took him downstairs, and he kept indicating trying to go back towards the vehicle. And I didn't get it. I didn't catch on. Went back upstairs, tried to lie down again, and he became a bit more aggressive. And so I took Chekhov. We went out to the car. And then when I got to the end of the parking garage, the voice inside my head again said to turn left and go towards Kennewick, which was 3.5 hours away from where I was at the time in Vancouver, instead of going back towards VA. That would have been a death sentence. So it was just a gut feeling. So I got my vehicle, or I proceeded to go to the freeway, and I'm 3 hours into the drive. I'm gradually getting worse, and I'm feeling nauseated. I can barely focus on driving, and I'm going through a mountain range, going towards the eastern side of Washington. And the last 20 minutes of that drive, I think it was maybe the last 20, 30 minutes of that drive, I think I just kind of went into autopilot. I literally just barely got to the hospital. I couldn't stay awake. Wow. My dog kept me awake. He would talk. And then the voice inside my head is that I as I refer it to, is actually a guardian angel that I've had for a while. He even has a name.
Are you going to share that with us, the name of your guardian angel?
Yeah, it's Robert.
Robert. Okay.
Yes. So anyway, I made it to the hospital that night, and I vaguely remember getting into the ER. I got into the hospital and I proceeded to tell the receptionist how I was feeling, what was going on. And then I started throwing up, and I kept throwing up. And then at one point it was just water. And I was almost amused. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm throwing up water. I never threw up water. I didn't know that was possible. And I almost laughed about it and I threw up again. And then by that time, I just ended up in the back of the ER. I was in massive pain, the worst pain I've ever been in my life. And I've had kidney stones before, and this actually, yeah, I've been taken to the hospital before for kidney stones, but this topped it because I knew something was dreadfully wrong. I remember them shooting me up with at least 4 narcotics that I broke through. At one point, I was in the fetal position, withering in pain. And I remember telling a nurse that, please help me, just get this crap out of me, whatever it is, just make it stop, this crap stop. And she turned around and she said, if you're going to speak like that and say words like that, you can't be in here. Something about I needed to stop using foul language, and all I said was crap. And I was in a lot of pain. And I remember turning over later when I was, I had a moment to just breathe. And I mentioned to her that, when people come in massive pain like that, they're bound to say some words, and she should be a little more patient. But
Seriously.
But they, I remember shortly after that, they gave me some more medication because the pain returned after 2 minutes. And then I don't remember anything else except I was floating. After the last injection, I remember it's like it was the sudden shift, and I was floating. And I was in this, it was just blackness. It was a void. At first I called it a tunnel, but the mass of it, I could feel the mass. It was huge. It was just a void. And I've heard other people describe that darkness as a void. But it wasn't void of spirits. It was fully occupied with, the best way I can describe it is that I could feel other spirits there. But nothing really registered. The only thing that made a huge impact on me at the moment was the fact that I was painless. There was absolutely no pain whatsoever. And to me, that's a huge thing, because I'm always in chronic pain from my back. But there was absolutely nothing. And there was bliss. And then I heard this familiar voice say, "You can stay here if you like, Peppy," and feeling love. I felt caressed. And then I started to hear or feel, I didn't see anything, but I'm always contacted by feel and audio. And it's not the external audio that we hear, it's like inwardly. So
Telepathically?
that's the word. So anyway, I was floating and I heard this voice, this very familiar voice say that. It didn't really dawn on me until I felt more spirits beyond this person. And one was very familiar, and it was my dad. And then I saw this pinpoint light it was like at the end of a tunnel, and that's the direction I was going. So I felt and heard this one spirit, I'm feeling others, and then my dad, and then the pinpoint light. And then that's when it registered that something wasn't right. And I literally remember thinking, wait, something's not right. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm dying. And because I was literally dying, I was on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Of, I was in a completely other realm. And that familiar voice that invited me to stay, my cousin Margaret, and I really realized, okay, this is not right. And I started to panic. And I remember saying, no, 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 no. And I have this image of myself. My soul was backing up into a corner, like a rat does if you corner a rat. And I just kept saying, no, 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 please, please don't. I can't, I can't die. I need to be here for my granddaughter. And she was 4 at the time, and I was raising her. And I felt the presence of this almighty spirit, God, because it was just overwhelming. And I felt a slight hint of guilt, because I had to address my cousin, and I told her no. I mean, I didn't say no. I just remember thinking it, no, I can't stay with you. But immediately there was this instant forgiveness. And it's not like someone says, I forgive you. You actually, I mean, I felt it. I mean, it actually went through me. You can feel everything. And, but it was, she was okay with it. But right after that, I felt this soul to my left. My cousin was on my right when I was going through this void. Mm-hmm. And then when I started scrambling back and I felt Almighty's presence, then Robert appeared on my left. And I remember distinctly addressing him and thinking, oh my gosh, I wasn't worthy. I didn't feel worthy to address the almighty being that I could feel in the entirety of that void, always been with me. And I learned that some years before, but I immediately knew who he was. And I told him, no, please, please ask them to let me stay here. I need to stay for my granddaughter. And I begged, and I said I would do anything I can to help anyone. I will help. I was trying to think of things to bargain with, and the first thing that I could think of was something that I always like to do: beg them to let me help as many people as I could, in whatever way they saw fit. And if they would just let me stay for Riley, for my granddaughter, and my 2 other girls. Within an instant, he said, okay. And I was thrown back into that wretched body on the ER table, withering in pain again. I remember before coming fully back into my body, and it was it's surreal. It's difficult to explain the transition from going from this realm to that realm, completely absent of anything that we carry here. There was no worry, there was no depression, there was no stress. I got a download while I was there, a lot of information that I came back with, and I didn't even really get a chance to think about it until the next day, when I was recovering. But I remember locking on to a male nurse, and I just remember him, the look on his face, and then he says, we need to admit her. and that was it. And so that was shortly before midnight on 13th December 2018. And so I was admitted, and then the next day, everything started to come together, and all the downloads and information that I was sent back with. One of the first things that I remember taking from that was that there was absolutely no religion. And I guess that was one of the first things they wanted me to realize and have confirmation of. But on the other side of the veil, there is no religion, none. It's all man-made. It is all man-made. What exists is spirituality. It's just spirits in different realms and different levels of consciousness. But the tactics that we have created here to form all the many different organizations to bring man in by, coercing their spirit into one group or another, that's all over here. And that was one of the real pertinent piece of information I needed because of my life and what I needed to do for myself and then for other people. And I've really been able to do what I begged to do on my deathbed. So I am literally living a death vow, and I've been able. That first year I was in recovery, recovering from being septic, I got thrown into. I was moving actually at the time. Shortly after, I was still on in Kennewick for a few weeks, I think, after that. And then I ended up moving to another small town in Longview on the west side, or in Longview, rather, West Washington. And that was an experience. So that was the beginning of my rebirth. I literally felt like an infant when I got thrown into Longview, and then I had to relearn a lot of things. I guess I changed in some ways too. I'm afraid of death. Well, I'm not really afraid to die. I'm not. It's just timing.
Such an extraordinary experience. The black void, how long did that last? Was it the whole time you were in the void?
No, I actually just went through the void, and like I said, when I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, that's when I realized I was dying. And part of me got left there. I know part of me, you leave a part of yourself over there, over wherever you end up, at least for me. So I have this feeling of homesickness sometimes, but it's for the other side.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of rough times here, and I know not to ask why me, because I asked for it. I asked to be here, but that's because I have a mission to do. And one of the oddest things about, and I know a lot of people would question, my cousin being there, and whether or not if it was my guardian angel, and I know for a fact it was both of them. My cousin Margaret Elaine, she's the one person other than my dad, I think, who was the perfect spirit to send to me at that moment, because Margaret passed away on 13th December 2014, exactly 14 years, from the same condition. She was the nurse, same day.
Wow.
There are absolutely No coincidences. There are none.
I 100% believe that. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about Robert. I actually kind of like that name for a guardian angel. Just it's kind of cool. Hey, Robert. So, Robert, did you see him, or you felt him, or you
Oh,
felt
I
his
felt
presence? Yeah. You didn't see an actual figure. You didn't see his face or anything like that.
no, but in the last couple of years, um, I've been given images of what he would look like if he was, tangible person,
Hmm.
kind of a strawberry Irish descent.
Right on.
um,
The voice that you heard initially, do you recall?
First voice, it was my cousin. The first one when I entered the void and I
Mhm.
was bliss, pain free.
Okay.
um, State of mind. Yeah, it was my cousin, and she was talking. She also sent me back with messages, or a message for another of our cousins.
Oh, really?
And
And was that
uh,
message, did it deliver any validation for you as well? Not that you needed it, but you know what I mean?
the family shutdown, family shunning. Um, I guess this has happened to other, but you go to the other side, you get a whole bunch of information, your life kind of changes in an instant, and you come back with all this stuff, and then you say things that even though people are religious and they say, we love Jesus or we know this scripture, when you present to them something that proves, the existence of what um, they believe they're worshiping, they seem to run the other way. And I've learned even even recently, when I get a message, I need to deliver it.
Hmm.
Um, and painfully, that happened this past week, and I got a message about a family friend, and I didn't deliver the message, and that family friend died 2 days later.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that
Wow.
was just last week. So
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
I've learned in the last 3 years that when I get a message, I have to deliver it. I have to do something, and it's taken me 3 years to shove aside some of my stubbornness because it gets in the way, and learn even the most minute message in my head. I've been trained to listen to and follow to the T. One of the things I came back with was, aside from being trained from another angel who is no longer here, was information about our current global situation. And well, 2019, beginning of that, and throughout, I had information that indicated we were going into a shutdown, and
Yeah.
I told a lot of people that within 2 years we were going to be shut down. Our government is going to implode in on itself,
Wow.
and
Mm. So you had a premonition, basically, right?
yeah, actually, yes, they increased after after that. So I had kind of a habit of predicting things beforehand, and because it's a huge realization, um, I've been able to predict a lot of things in the past, and with proof. 2 months before my NDE, something happened, and it accelerated those predictions. That ability to do that, I'm not even sure how to phrase it, but just something astronomical happened in a house that I was living in Kennewick
Okay.
uh, in October of 2018. And that involves another realm. And I had predicted that VA was going to kill me. And I told a few people this. I told my, I call her my cerebral girlfriend. She was a genius. And she actually trained me and prepped me for the shutdown before it happened. And my train derailed. Anyway, something happened in this home, and I went through some anxiety and PTSD from military things, and I had predicted this about VA, and I told them. Apparently, I told them I had to kind of coerce them to remove something that I had found in my leg, and they wouldn't do it. They were going to cause my demise, and then it actually happened. And afterwards, I actually found that they entered that note into my medical records. They had actually entered that what I had predicted, that they were going to kill me.
Yeah. Hey, when you were on the other side, did you have a physical body, or did you notice? Some people don't even notice, and they're kind of like, oh, you know what? Yeah, halfway through, I realized I didn't have any legs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly halfway through, I realized that there was no body. Okay. And it was really nice.
What about going to the bathroom?
Pardon? That would be a relief. No more going to the bathroom.
No more going to the bathroom. Oh, wait. No more snacks. Oh, come on.
Oh, if you only knew.
So that's awesome. But it sounds like to me, like a lot of what you experienced in terms of other beings was really felt, like your whole being felt it. Like you didn't need to see it visually. It was like something that you felt, right? And heard, obviously, telepathically. Okay, it's interesting, like how everybody's different, you know. Like
if I were allowed to see anything that I hear and feel, I would be able to handle it. Some people are privileged to be able to see, you know, others from the other side, or dead spirits, people who have passed. And I've never been able to. I've only been able to hear and feel. But seeing, I would probably not be too good for my psyche at this point. I don't need to. Maybe down the road, but right now, I was told there are reasons. That's pretty much the reason why. Yeah.
it must be such an amazing feeling when it happens.
It is. It is.
These downloads that you get, how exactly is it different every time, or is it always the same way when you get it?
A lot of times it's just a flood of information. And it's so overwhelming that it sends me into an anxiety attack. I've learned to actually curtail my anxiety a lot. Before I couldn't handle things, and I would cry at the top of a hat. I don't cry so easy anymore. It's taken 3 years to whip it out of me, but hey.
So what about religious aspect of all of this? Because I understand the message that you brought back with you was that there is no religion on the other side of the veil. But for you personally, before this, if you don't mind me asking, what were your religious beliefs or non-beliefs?
That's interesting. I've been through a lot religiously. I grew up Catholic and Jewish. My dad, the dad who raised me from 3 months, was Russian Jewish. He was very reformed, never visited a synagogue as long as he was with us. And my mom, Catholic. I grew up Catholic. I went to a Catholic school my entire life. And by the time I was 13, I knew something was wrong. I stopped going to confession because I thought, well, it didn't make sense. It was not logical.
Mm.
And so I didn't tell mom, but I stopped going to confession. But the education was good. um, Catholic school education is academically, it's pretty good.
And do you meditate?
Meditate, I do. I have a difficult time sitting still. So a lot of times, and I've discussed this with my guardian angel, I can't sit and just cross my arms or do this and meditate. My meditation a lot of times ends up, I'm functioning, I'm doing something simple, but my mind is totally integrated with the others, as I call them. My son teases me when I say that, but with the other side. And I've never actually meditated before these past couple of years. Grew up Catholic and Jewish. I went through a few other religions, Jehovah's Witness for 3 years. And I visited a couple of Baptist churches when I was in LA. Those scared me.
A little different than what you were used to, I bet, huh?
Oh, very different. I mean, in a Catholic church, you're just sitting there and you don't get to respond unless they, and everything is mechanized. So that was a huge difference to me, and it kind of put me off. Also, things I saw. So I jumped around a lot religiously. I knew that there was an almighty being, a God of all gods and several gods. I mean, I don't believe in just one God, because I know there's not just one God, but there is a God over all others. There is an ultimate creator, an ultimate source, a lot of people refer to it as. But in the end, my last religion actually was Mormonism. I'm technically inactive LDS.
So would you say you were exploring these religions just out of curiosity based on, what you experienced, or is it something completely different?
No, I wouldn't say exploring. Well, when I visited some of the Baptist churches, that was kind of exploring. I was dead serious when I went to a Jehovah's Witness, and being Mormon was also meant to be. I mean, for my family, it actually has saved my family, between my kids and my mom. It saved us as a family. I'm turned off by religion. I actually don't even consider myself Christian. Some people have issues with the renouncing that word, but I believe in Yeshua, aka Jesus, Isa.
Yeah.
But I can't put myself in that Christianity realm because I don't like what I've seen Christians do. In October, I can't remember the exact date, but it was a Sunday, late October that year. I went to bed and I woke up, I went to the restroom, and I was going to go to the restroom, and I looked down at my thigh, and there was what appeared to be a 2-day-old post-surgical bruise. I've only bruised one other time, and it was from an injury I had gotten on my elbow when I was in the Army. I don't bruise. And for me to wake up with what looked like a post-surgical bruise on my thigh was very alarming. What was even more alarming was that there was something implanted just beneath the surface, and it felt like a marble, that density, a hard round object. There were 3 dots in the form of a triangle, and it was under the bottom right spot that was on my thigh. It freaked me out. There were 2 males in the house, and I was so shocked by this. I asked them if they saw what I could see. I said, do you guys see this? This wasn't there. And they know I'm very, very in tune with my body and very aware of, changes. I showed them just to make sure I wasn't going absolutely crazy. This is when the anxiety really kicked in and the PTSD started kicking in. Because this happened, I went to my PCP and asked her about, having this removed or biopsy. I had to fight VA to even want to do imaging of it. She put an order in for me to go to general surgery, and the doctor looked at it. She looked at it, didn't really properly examine it. And she says, well, no, we're not going to remove it. And I said, well, it just appeared overnight. I really would like to have it removed. They didn't want to do any imaging, and they set me out for weeks. I had to bring the doctor back into the room and sat her down and gave her a lecture about how to take care of their patients. And so after the end of my lecture, she left the room and came back with an appointment date. I went and had that biopsy I think it was like 2 weeks after. I tried to take a photo of it. I had my phone. It wouldn't focus. They pulled it out, and it was this pearly white object. And I couldn't even every time I tried to get my camera to focus on it, it went unfocused. It blurred, but I still managed to take a few shots of it. They sent it off for biopsy, and I didn't trust VA's biopsy, so I had them send it to a second lab. That second lab is attached. So they said it was like a lipoma, but they weren't really absolutely sure. But I know for a fact that it wasn't a lipoma, because lipomas don't bruise and they don't present the way that did. And it was a solid, round, pearly object. I had wondered why I went through that and what that object was, but it set off a lot of realizations I had about VA and what was going on. And then that's when I started, I'd say that the predictions became very frequent and a lot more amplified. Whatever that object was, I still don't know to this date what it was. However, what I didn't tell VA, or later that day after discovering what this was, it was actually shortly after, I remembered I slept in a utility closet in this house. It was the only house with a flat roof. Around 10:30 at night, preceding this day, I would hear footsteps on top of that roof. But I was the only one on that wing of the house. I asked the other residents if they heard any of this. No one heard anything, but I would hear footsteps start from the front of the house and kind of shuffle back towards the rear of the house where I slept. And one night I was so desperate, I even got up and ran outside and looked to see if there was anyone or anything, and there was nothing. And these were truly bipedal steps with intentive, it wasn't raccoon, wasn't squirrel, wasn't possum. These were literal steps. I remember distinctly waking up, and I was on like a surgery table, and I woke up to see, like, if you're in an OR operating room, there are the lights. Imagine waking up halfway under anesthesia and you're kind of groggy, but I saw a figure, actually two figures. There was one standing to my right and another one just quite blurred to the right of them. And this being told me to keep still. He said, keep still, this won't hurt a bit. This won't hurt. And I remember in my mind, I must have been trying to struggle, but I woke up and I saw this being, but it was blurred because I was apparently under anesthesia. And after he said that, I blacked out again. I remember waking up again, and I really don't know the time span. But when you go to surgery and you wake up, it's like no time has passed. But I remember waking up again and them saying the same thing, just keep still, it won't hurt. And I blacked out again. And that happened that night. before I woke up and saw this thing. And I know that we're not on this planet alone, especially since our government did a disclosure saying, oh, by the way, yes, aliens exist. I woke up in the middle of them doing whatever they were doing to me and blacked out, and then woke up again. And then there was this thing, and I know that it looked like a post-surgery site because I've been in medical field my entire life. I was actually a medic in the Army at the time. This happened, and then I've been struggling with, the reality of that. But knowing that there were beings walking on our house. At first, I thought that maybe I had been taken out of the house, but I think I was in a different realm. And I've learned something as of late, that they don't all necessarily come down from a spaceship, come in and take you away. Realms are crossing. And this I've learned since my NDE. I can feel, like in 2018, I felt the unsteadiness of the earth. Our planet was off kilter. And I've spoken to other people who have said the same thing, other empaths.
Yeah.
Who have said the same thing. In 2018, something happened to our planet, and it was really unsettled. That's when my predictions of our global upset started, and then accelerated after October, and then my incident. I know I'm here because of this time. I'm supposed to be here for this time, and I've had that proven to me, no matter how uncomfortable it is. But I do it because I asked to be here, and that's where my heart is.
Well, I'm glad you're back again and still around to talk about it. It's awesome. I had such a great time listening to your story, and I'm sure others will as well. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank
And also, thank you for being on this show. Much appreciated. Really much
you.
appreciated. I wish you well, and I can't wait to tell your story.
Well, thanks for this opportunity to get it out there and express it. And you're actually an answer to a prayer.
Oh, glad.
Your timing, come to think of it, is impeccable. I've been kind of going nuts needing to get this out, and with everything happening, I have felt like I was going to implode if I didn't tell somebody.
Good.
And
the stars are aligned.
Yeah, when you contacted me, I thought, oh my gosh, and then I was really nervous.